Hi, this is Bobby Fazy, attorney with Insight Law, and this topic is what is portability and why should you care? So before you get into this video, you should have already listened to the IRS supermarket. And portability is a relatively new legislation that deals with estate taxes, and it's dealing with your coupon when you're at the checkout counter and you can use your coupon. Traditionally, you use the trust, but with portability, you don't necessarily have to use a trust. You can file or your trustee would file a 706 estate tax return form, a lengthy document. And what are the pros and cons, and what's the impact on your planning? And it's really, portability changed the landscape from an estate tax issue to an income tax issue. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a review on income taxes and how portability will impact your plan. So let's say that you bought a stock, and you bought a stock for $10, and you bought it in December of 06, and you held it for 10 years, and it went up to $100, and you decided to sell it, right? You buy it at 10, you sell high, that's a good thing, right? And you sell it for $100. What happens under the current laws is there will be a $90 capital gain, and that you have to report on your income taxes. So minus your 10 is your cost basis. That is an important term. You'll have a $90 capital gain. Okay, I think a lot of people get that part of it, and you'll pay taxes on your capital gain and whatever your tax rate is. But instead of selling the stock for $100 in December of 2016, let's say you passed away, and let's say you're married, and your spouse sells the stock the next day for $100. What happens there? There's a concept in the law called a step-up in basis. And what a step-up in basis is when you pass away, the IRS says anything that's included in your estate will get a step-up in basis as of the fair market value as of the date of death. So if you bought a stock for $10, you pass away, and it's worth $100, and then your spouse sells the stock the next day, guess what? They sell the stock for $0 capital gain. Pretty powerful tax strategy. You got to die to get that strategy, but it's it's an important concept. So now with portability, let's say that you've gone through the IRS supermarket, and instead of the surviving spouse selling the stock, let's say that they used their coupon and got their assets out into the parking lot, and they didn't sell the stock. And let's say 10 years goes by, so from December of 2016 to December of 2026, let's say you bought under Amazon stock, and now the stock is worth, let's say it's $1,000, and then second spouse passes away, and let's say you have one child, and the child says, "Great, I want to sell that Amazon stock," and the child sells that Amazon stock for $1,000. The key, or the crux of the portability issue, is what's the capital gain to that beneficiary? Well, if you use your coupon, took those assets out into the parking lot, they don't get a second step up in basis. They're stuck with that $100 basis when the first spouse passed away, and they're stuck with a $900 capital gain. Portability is all about getting that second step up in basis, and so with portability, if you file that return and do things right, what we could do is second spouse does not pass away, second spouse does not sell the stock. We can actually have that stock included in her estate at her death, and then when she checks out, it's valued at the fair market value as of that date of death, $0 capital gain. Very powerful tax strategy. What we do is we balance those two items of protections and tax protections. Really need someone who's well versed in this area. This is an overview on what portability is, but basic things that you need to know, the keys that you need to know. It's an income tax issue. It's not going to have any effect between the clients as far as the spouses are concerned. It's the beneficiaries, and it's all about getting that second step up in basis. Now, another disclaimer here, this only is going to be pertaining to investments or capital investments or investments, not qualified IRA plans, 401k plans. If you remember with those, qualified plans, IRAs, That all comes out as ordinary income. Unfortunately, you do not get a step-up of basis on those assets. Bobby Fazy, attorney with Insight Law, and this has been Portability 101.